Hey, what's up, Facebook family? How are you? Those of you watching on replay, how you doing? I just wanted to shoot this quick video after a full day of client calls and group calls here in my beautiful home office for the week, Queenstown, New Zealand, after my amazing trip to Lyceum in Auckland at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic. Let me know where you're tuning in from. This is a very, very important conversation that I'm going to continue because it just seems that everywhere that I go and everywhere that I speak and everywhere that I share, people are coming up to me in tears. People are coming up to me with hugs and saying that what I had to share with them was very meaningful. Hey, buddy, Liam, thank you, bro. You paved the way, man. I saw you a few years back come to New Zealand, and I'm like, I want to be like Liam. So it's beautiful here, man. I wanted to share this because I had an incredible time at speaking at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic, sharing with, thanks for the love, bro. Keep it up, man. When did you become such a great guy all of a sudden? I was speaking to chiropractors about trying to win the war of approval because it seems that in my profession, it's something that I went to Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College, and so it was beaten in our heads that we are substandard doctors, that what we do is dangerous and it's unethical to make claims that we do anything beyond just musculoskeletal pain, neck pain, back pain, that kind of thing. So when I was hanging out with guys like John Minardi and James Chestnut and Ryan French and, you know, the guys that they were called the subbies, the subluxation-based guys back in school, there was a small group of them, and I have no idea what that sound is, but just look at how beautiful it is here in Queenstown. So when I would hear that, it was like this, we were instilled with this sense, this feeling of not good enough, this sense that what we were doing was not good enough. And it just seemed like this pattern. Wow, that's distracting. You can tell it's a live video though, right? You can tell it's live. So whatever that sound, I guess that might be the fire truck or something, a fire truck down in the city. Queenstown is so tiny, it reminds me a lot of Whistler. Just a pause here, as you can see, the mountains have these beautiful pine trees. Apparently, the whole landscape there looked more like that mountain. It was kind of barren. And then what they did was they took pine seeds about 80 years ago and they blasted them, aerated them all around, and all of a sudden pine trees started popping up. They seem to become like a problem, like an infestation problem. Like there's too many of them and they're destroying things. But what they did was they took pine trees from Canada. And that's why I was like, damn, it looks a lot like British Columbia out here. It's because it's the same damn trees. I found this out when I was ziplining yesterday on the excursion, on the eco tour. So it was pretty neat to learn. There's a little piece of home over here in Queenstown, New Zealand. Anyway, I have a terrible accent. Anyway, the war of approval is a big thing for me growing up. Being raised in the chiropractic profession, where we were kind of like just a second-rate thing for back pain. And so it's a big thing, and every single chiropractor that reaches out to me seems like they have this I'm not good enough thing. And one of the things that kept coming up through all the talks over the weekend, Danny Constable and Dan Sullivan and Heidi Horvick and all of these amazing speakers said that chiropractic isn't the problem, it's chiropractors, it's us within the profession. And that really resonated with me because that's part of the message that I was giving, was how to win the war of approval within chiropractic, which is really about a internal game. It's a self-esteem game. Oh, thanks, Emma Shane. Thanks, Auntie. It's a self-esteem game that we are playing, is that you could have the greatest message, you could have the greatest profession, but if you within yourself do not have this sense of power within yourself and sense of self-expression, whatever message that you have, whatever important impact that you want to make, can't reach an audience because you're stuck too much in your own head. So I'm on this mission to be able to help not just chiropractors, but just people in general. Chiropractors seem to just reach out to me because that's who I am. That's kind of what I've been uh, working in and connecting with my chiropractic brothers and sisters. But this war of approval is a very, very, very big issue within my profession. But then what I discovered, it's all around the world. And it comes from this little belief or perception that who I am is not enough. And where that comes from is past stories. So I had a client call this morning with a client in Australia, and then in the group call, another um, client of mine who's now emerging from this story of I'm not good enough, emerging and is starting to win this war of approval and become more powerful within herself. It all comes back to stories from our parents. And our stories around our primitive relationships with mom and dad, when they act out in ways that are trying to protect us, we turn around and make up a story, and it triggers a response within us that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not a good person. I'm not enough, per se. And so that's the voice, that's the emergence and the voice of our dark passenger, and we take that with us wherever we go. So then when we try to get into a relationship with somebody and we have that little voice in our heads, we can't really be our authentic selves. Because if I say the truth of how I feel, then you won't receive it very well. You'll feel you won't like me, so I'm going to hold back who I really am and hide. And so when you don't have this right, what ends up happening is it creates this paralyzing sense of self-esteem loss, low self-esteem, and we stop being ourselves in relationships, and we start to hide. And when it gets really bad, we don't even like to go outside. We don't even look people in the eye. We make up stories that, and then we start to see evidence. This is the worst part of it. We start to gather and collect evidence all around us of our own unworthiness. So in a chiropractor or a doctor's case, they'll look and a patient will leave their practice and they go, there it goes, I'm not good enough. Or a patient doesn't really accept the recommendations of care, I'm not good enough. So every single chiropractor, every doctor that's come to me has this, or any other human being, really. It's not just chiropractors who I work with. Huge revelations have come from these client calls, and one in particular. After we change that story based on parents not approving of a choice of a partner that a person takes, or parents making a commentary about the choice of profession that they go into, or why don't you do this type of work? Why are you a photographer? Or why don't you do this or do that? Again, that triggers our dark passenger. And then the problem with that is that it blocks us from being able to speak up and really serve at a big level and make a difference in people's lives, because we don't feel that we're worthy of doing that. And what we've done, what we do with these people, this one of my clients in particular, once she changed that story about her father, we got her to go back and speak to her dad and share with him the story that she made out. And what she realized, she came back and shared this on the group call today. What she shared was that it was at that moment I realized, is what she said, was that my father was just a person, was just a human being. And that he was just a guy who's made his own choices, made his own mistakes, and I didn't have to live my life under that kind of shadow. And what she was saying was this truth, was that every single one of us remember the moment where we had kind of broken the subordination of the opinions of our parents. I don't know how old you were, but I want you to think about that moment where you remember really thinking, having their opinion of us, of you, in such a high regard and such a high esteem that you just couldn't live with yourself if you were disappointing them. Some of us haven't still. If you're Persian, if you're Persian or you're Lebanese or you're some sort of an ethnic background like myself, or you're Greek, perhaps you're listening and you're Greek, you're probably still living with it. And what you'll notice is that you're living under the premise that disappointing them is like disappointing God. And if you can recall that moment where you had just, or Algerian, exactly, in Jack's case, Jack's still living under the shadow of his parents and still being quiet and feeling not good enough and not worthy. But in your case, no, I don't want to say, Jack, you're a sweetheart. I don't want to. I don't even want to throw you under the bus. You're such a sweet guy. What they're discovering after they shift that story, and what we do is we have them go back to their family and then their parents, if they're still alive, to out themselves about what they believe to be true. They realize that their parents are just people, just like you. You're a parent. If you're a parent, imagine your child is holding back their truth and having an opinion of themselves because you called them out when they were children, they were younger, or you disagreed with them, and you gave them your opinion, but they took your opinion as God's word, which is what children do. And in their adulthood, in their 20s and 30s and 40s, they still don't speak their truth or do what they love because of that perception and belief. It's a subordination that each of us, if we are to live our lives congruently with our higher selves, it's really important to break. And so when I shared this story in New Zealand College of Chiropractic back in Auckland, people were coming up to me afterwards and hugging me and crying because they became present to how much they hold back and how much they don't do in their lives because of the fact that, what's mom going to think? What's dad going to think? What's my partner going to think? What's the spouse going to think? And it's important for us to go back and break those subordinations if we are to live a life of our design. I mean, look at where I am right now, and I got to work doing exactly what I love. This is a view from my office. So this is my office view today, right here. This is my spot here. This is my office, and that's my view right over there. The whole time I was pinching myself and laughing that if I was to obey the opinions and the advice of my father and my mother, who I love dearly, who are coming from their perspective of what they know to be true, this would not be possible. I wouldn't be possible to be here, to make the impact that I made over the weekend, to connect with the people that I connected with over in the weekend, to get the hugs that I got, to get the people reaching out and saying that they wanted to work with me, to be able to say that here I am, just finished a work day here in Queenstown, New Zealand, a place that my parents have never visited, and I was kind of lamenting because it's too bad. Mom, if you're watching, Dad, if you're watching, it saddens me to know that you didn't make, this a priority as I'm projecting my values onto you. Travel, teaching, speaking, healing, transforming is a high value for me. So I've aligned my entire life based on my values, based on my design. But in order to do that, I had to lean into the fear of the disapproval of my parents and to go against their best advice, their best wishes, to fall on my face, to get up, dust myself off, try it all over again. It wasn't an easy thing, but leaning into the resistance of the fear of the war, of losing the war of approval, is something that we all as human beings are called into doing. So it's just neat. I just spoke with a Lebanese client of mine this morning who's in his 50s, and he's basically still paralyzed. He hasn't made anything of himself, even though he's got gifts and talents that he wants to share with the world. He's been afraid because he's the oldest of 68 grandchildren, Lebanese. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? 68 grandchildren. And so he's been living in a mental jail that, based on old stories of his parents not approving of his non-Lebanese partner, that he's just not good enough. And so we're busting through that. He's now going to have a conversation with his mother and father who has dementia. And this is how the war of approval is won. It's through love. It's not by saying, fuck you, get out of my face, and I'm going to do what I want. It's to understand and appreciate that when people are disapproving of you, it's not you that they're disapproving of. It's the perception in that moment, freeze framed in time, that what you're saying and doing is in alignment with their values. And that's what they're supposed to be doing, because they're doing it out of love. And once you really get that, you stop expecting other people to be supportive of you all the time. My father and mother, who don't have as high a value as travel and teaching and personal development as I do, they see me having $1 million chiropractic practice. At one point I did. I'm not doing chiro math and saying I had $1 million practice for 10 years. No, but for a couple years I reached that level. About 3 years I reached that level, and then I realized that doing $1 million chiropractic practice wasn't my highest values, and I really wanted to be teaching and traveling, and I didn't want to be locked into a brick and mortar office, and I wanted to have an office from all different corners of the earth and to be making an impact and helping professionals with transitional anxiety have their best year ever. So that's what I do now, but I had to lean into the fear and the resistance, and it's probably been one of the most rewarding, best years of my life, because I get to hang out with really cool people. I get to serve some amazing clients who become my friends in every one of these cities that I go to. I get to go out with my clients and have dinner with them and go over their results and create a community, and it's just probably been, like I said, it's been my best year ever, and I love to show people how to have their best year ever. If they're stuck in transitional anxiety with relationship or career limbo, they commit to something greater and they step up and serve. So if this is you, if you are wanting to learn how to win that war of approval, I'm about to do a Facebook Live, I'm going to do a Zoom call, a Zoom training. It's free for the first 40 people that enroll. I'm going to have the link set up. Send me a link if you're interested. Just write interested underneath and click one of the hearts, some love. Send me some loves, and I'm going to show you a training on the 5 steps that I take all my clients through, so that you can leave feeling inspired to take action, take an action step towards the fulfillment of that voice within, that little voice within that you know that is calling on you to do something greater, to have more, to do more, to be more in your life. I had that voice within me, and I felt like I was rotting in my practice, not fulfilling my full potential. And now, thanks to Facebook and thanks to my amazing connections that I made within my chiropractic profession, thanks to chiropractic, I've been able to do that. And now it's beyond chiropractic, and I help people outside of the profession get powerfully aligned with their highest version. So if this is something that is interesting to you, you want to reach out, send me a private message and tell me exactly where you've been losing that war of approval. How does it show up in your life? What have you done for it? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked? I'm curious. Let's continue the conversation. Join the Art of Powerful Alignment Facebook group. Ask me any questions, and I'm happy to do a video. And yeah, just check out how beautiful it is here. If you've ever had a chance to come to Queenstown, New Zealand, do it. God bless you. Interested? Yes, my friend Jack. I'm always here to serve you, brother. Take good care, and see you at the next perfect time.